This is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real Fans, Real Talk. We as real as you thought. Real Fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. It's a lot going down in the sports world this week. I think we saw Shador's breakout performance. People's mad, but it is what it is. NBA action going down. Young boys is out here putting on in the league. This rookie class, a couple of them cats has really been putting in work. And then we got a couple other things going on that we're gonna get to today. But let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on?
What's really good, bro? Man, what a week of sports we just had. Great boxing fight this past weekend. College football playoffs. I'm sure we're gonna get some questions about that. NFL. I mean, we this is it, Trip. We winding down. It's almost over this season. And then, of course, NBA is doing a thing, and we're approaching the famous NBA Day game, Christmas Day game, which, in our opinion, is kind of really the start of the season. But it's been a good season nonetheless.
No, absolutely. Shout out to my guy Cooper Flag. He getting to it. He getting to it now. Started off slow, but obviously you want to keep an established superstar like Luka on your team. But like I said, if you got Cooper Flag for the next 10 years, that's a good nice little piece you could build around. So big shout out to Cooper Flag. Let me go to the comments here. Who's up first? I see Kyrie. Do you trust Jordan Love in big games? I mean, are we counting regular season games as big games? Because that would be my first question. If you count regular season games as big games, I guess. I mean, for me, I think the only big regular season game would be at the end of the season if it's a game that gets you into the playoffs or not. I would consider big games mostly just to be playoff games. Because I just feel like we know what the goal is to get to the playoffs. So we know you're supposed to be winning these games so we can lock in our spot in the playoffs. So, but the big games don't really come until the playoffs. I don't know if I trust him. Yeah, I do. Is it always going to work out? No, but that's with any quarterback. It's not always going to work out. But I think I do trust him in big games. I think he's good enough to lead a team going into the playoffs. I know the Packers have had their inconsistency, but recently they have been kind of getting things together. So I'm cool with Jordan Love. Obviously, maybe I might want to. There's a couple of quarterbacks that I would pick before him, but every team ain't gonna get it. Mahomes, you know what I mean? Allen, Burrow, every team don't get one of those. But I do think he is improving, which I like to see. So yeah, I'm cool with him.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I just saw the news that Adam Schefter broke. I don't even know what to say about that. But for those that may not have got the alert, obviously we know Daniel Jones is out for the season. Their backup quarterback Riley Leonard is day to day. He got injured in yesterday's game. The Colts are working out Phillip Rivers tomorrow, Trip.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Phillip Rivers is 45 years old. He ain't played in the NFL in 5 years. Yeah.
I mean, like if they had said Andrew Luck, I maybe would have been like, all right, but what?
They're working him out tomorrow, Trip. I don't even know.
Is this the Chargers? Like,
listen, I want to know. So I heard yesterday because I had wondered for a while. Let's get to this question. Shout out to Kyrie. I'm sure somebody got some questions about the Colts. We'll get to that later. Shout out to Kyrie. Do you trust Jordan Love in big games? I'm gonna say yes. Now, to be fair, we don't have many examples of him in big games. They played some playoff games. He's had some moments. Obviously, he had a big game against Dallas a couple years ago in the playoffs. He had a good game against the 49ers, a game that they probably should have won. But he hasn't had many moments outside of regular season big games. I think yesterday was a big game. Yesterday looked like it was for the division. He played well. Now, he gets a bigger test next week. They have to go to Denver. Denver right now, if not the best defense in football, one of the best defenses that's going to be in Denver. Denver is obviously battling for the number 1 seed in the AFC. So that's another opportunity. But I think if you're asking me right now, yes. And to your point, Trip, I mean, a quarterback can play well. Everybody's not going to be Brady or Mahomes, right? All you can ask is that a quarterback just plays well in those moments. And I think Jordan Love has played well in his moments up to this point, and we'll get another opportunity again next week. So I would have to say, yeah, I do trust him.
Okay. All right, well, there you have it. Ron says, is the Chiefs dynasty over? I mean, Dad, they can, like, the one season where if things don't go right, it's over. Like, they're not gonna make it back to the playoffs no more. You don't believe in Patrick Mahomes anymore. Like, they got a lot of things they got to get together in Kansas City. I'm gonna start off by saying that they got a lot of things they need to get together. A lot of holes they need to get together. It can't just come down to we just banking on Patrick Mahomes' greatness every week. So and I think partly it's on the Chiefs because it wasn't easy for the Chiefs these last 2 seasons to do what they did. By far, it was not easy. Like Patrick Mahomes might make it look easy, but it wasn't easy.
Right.
It's not easy when you may have a 2 wide receiver, but most likely all of your receivers are 3s and 4s, and you know what I mean. So I think they should have retooled a little bit better. I mean, from the pieces they got from the Tyreek Hill trade, it was like, all right, we did good. But then, like, what happened? What changed that, they didn't say, all right, we got to bring in somebody else because Travis Kelce is going, everybody's continuing to get older, but he's older than, anybody else on their receiving core by far. Right. So, yeah, well, we could depend on, all right, as long as we got Mahomes and prime Kelce, we gonna be all right. We don't have prime Kelce no more. Kelce, is starting to he's in the latter years right now. This is I'm still all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm still Kelce. I can still get you a couple of big plays here and there, but I'm not giving you what I was giving you 4 years ago, 3 years ago for a complete season. See me, meet me in the playoffs. And, I'll get you a couple of big plays, just help us out. But I can't give you what I was once giving you. So when you don't have that, and you have not really replenished the receiving core, and then you got to deal with guys getting suspended, the injury bug is hitting you every week at different key positions. It's a lot. It's hard. It's hard in football to do what the Chiefs have done.
Yeah, it is very difficult to maintain the level they've maintained. I want to say this. I think in terms of the current version of the Chiefs, yeah, that's probably over. And I don't mean that in like, they can never get back. I mean, keep in mind, what the Patriots did was unique, not just because they won 6 Super Bowls and they played in what was it, 9 total Super Bowls with Brady and Belichick. What made it unique was that they kept reinventing themselves. There was the first version of the Patriots, remember, that won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Mm-hmm. Then they kind of had a drought where they didn't. Then they went and got Randy Moss, and then they became the elite team again, and they started getting back to Super Bowls, right? Then you had that latter version with Gronk and Edelman that was kind of like the main pieces with Brady.
Mm-hmm.
So the Patriots went to 9 Super Bowls. They won 6 of them. I think they were in the AFC Championship game a total of something like 14 times, 15 times. Some crazy number where for a long time, it was almost like the AFC Championship the only quarterbacks that were getting to the AFC Championship for almost 20 years was either Brady, Manning, or Ben Roethlisberger. It was something crazy like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think you can reinvent yourself if you're the Chiefs. And as you highlighted, you got to retool. The defense is still good. The defense is young. But you got to retool on the offense. And I think their biggest issue is they just can't run the ball. And I don't care how great you are as a quarterback. You still got to have some threat of being able to run the ball. If not, teams are just going to sit in a lot of zone coverages against you. And your quarterback's going to take hits. And your quarterback's going to be thrown into coverage. And unfortunately, when you throw into coverage, you got to be perfect. You saw yesterday, there were 3 critical drop passes in that game. One of them by Kelsey that bounced off his hands in the interception. That's the second time that's happened this year. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at the Chiefs season, yeah, we'll say raw numbers, they were 6-7. They didn't beat any of the good teams this year. But then when you take a deep dive at some of these games, you say, well, they could have beat the Eagles if Kelsey doesn't bobble a pass at the goal line that leads to an interception, right? Yeah. They probably beat the Texans yesterday if they don't, again, drop 3 critical passes in that game. They had moments earlier this year where, talking about throwing in the zone coverages, Mahomes throws a goal line interception against the Jaguars that gets returned for a touchdown. That was the difference in that game. So they need to be able to run the ball and kind of allow Mahomes to work off play action and get better looks from the secondary. Because right now, since they can't run the ball, nobody is blitzing them. Nobody is saying, hey, we got to get to stop the run game. We're just going to sit in coverage. Yeah. We'll sit in coverage all day. And the point of doing that is to force you into a mistake because, again, nobody is ever going to be perfect for 60 snaps of a football game. There's going to be drops. There's going to be bobbles. There's going to be interceptions. And because the Chiefs don't have the dynamic offense they used to have where they could just get downfield in 4 plays, that makes it tougher for them to win games. I thought the defense was great against yesterday. Remember, the score is 10-10 with 7 minutes to go in the game. Right? The defense is doing their job. They just not getting enough from their offense. And if you look, again, if we want to talk raw numbers, you look at the numbers that Mahomes has this year. He's having a good year. It's the other pieces. Again, the leading rusher on this team is Kareem Hunt. He doesn't even have 500 yards, Trip. And we're going into week 15. They don't have a semblance of a running game. Travis Kelce, who for years was their number 1 target, is no longer a number 1 target. And like you said, there's a bunch of 2s and 3s out there. You got a lot of guys who are good players, but none of those guys is the elite number 1 that can get open when you need a 3rd down catch. You don't have that anymore with the Chiefs.
Yeah. So we're gonna see what the management does after this season, because now it's like you can't, you know what I'm saying, you can't deny it. You got to go out and fix the issue immediately, because again, Travis Kelce is not going to get younger. He's, you know what I mean, and he having the baby right now. His mom, he probably on fatherhood right now. He ready to step away from the game. All right, who y'all got in the Monday Night Football game tonight? Did the Chargers get back one of their linemen?
Both tackles are done for the season. Rashawn Slater and Joe All. And I believe they lost their left guard.
2 first-round picks too.
Yeah, two first-round picks. Rashawn Slater had got his big contract this offseason, making him, if not the highest left tackle, obviously a top 3 paid left tackle. Joe Alt was a high first-round pick. You're down to Kamani Blue as a running back who didn't start the season as the starter. You got Justin Herbert with a broken bone in his left hand.
Yeah, I mean, just based off of the injury, I think I'm gonna have to go Eagles today. But who knows with the Eagles? They, these last couple of weeks, who knows? Maybe, what I'm saying? Maybe the Chargers might steal one. Who knows? That because the Eagles are, like, when we talked about trust earlier, that's a team I don't trust right now. So, but I'm gonna pick them just based off of the injury report. But I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't trust the Eagles. I've talked about it, but I have to lean that direction in this game. And I feel like this is one of them games that you're gonna feel wrong no matter what. If you take the Chargers and then those injuries start to show up, you're gonna feel like I should have known. I'm taking the Eagles, and I would not be surprised in the 3rd quarter. I feel like this is the Eagles I've been talking about all year. But I've been basically trashing them in the last couple of weeks. But I'm taking the Eagles because of the injuries, and I think the Eagles. And this is the situation where I know the Eagles got a little bit of breathing room with the Cowboys losing. But the Eagles do have to start getting some positive momentum going forward. So I think tonight might be the opportunity against a banged up Charger team.
Yeah, but I feel like I can't three in a row is crazy. So just based off of that too.
Yeah, I think they got to. I picked them earlier in the week. I'm still taking that pick. The line has actually moved a little bit. It opened at 3.5, is down to 2.5. So I think people are back in the Chargers. But I would hate to take the Chargers tonight, and then Justin Herbert leaves that game in the first quarter because of that broken bone in his hand.
Yeah. Right, college football. You did say they was going to talk about it today.
Yeah.
Was it a mistake keeping Notre Dame out of the playoffs? Listen. Sometimes I don't know what's going on with the judging system and how this whole thing works. But I do know that a lot of times these decisions, and this is where certain schools will get the short end of the stick, is that they don't they base things on strength of schedule. So where a team that's in the SEC, will probably get a nod over a team, or a team that's in a bigger conference will probably get the nod over certain teams just based off of strength of schedule. But I think that because the only thing that really, because they have the same record as Miami, who's 10th, and then I know Alabama has the 3 losses, and they're in 9th place right now, but Alabama probably played the most ranked opponents this season, and they went on a tear where they beat like 5 straight ranked opponents. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I know they're gonna look at, and then they're gonna look at, all right, let me go to Notre Dame. What was their signature wins this season? Who, what how many ranked opponents did they play? And then they're gonna go based off of that. If you're a Notre Dame fan, obviously you're feeling a little bad this morning. You're frustrated with the system. Sometimes the system works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't.
No, I think Notre Dame has every right to be upset. All season, Notre Dame was ranked top 10. All season. Going into this last weekend, they were ranked 10. Right? Notre Dame's issue here, and I think their athletic director kind of articulated it very well. Because like I said, we're not mad at anybody else for getting in. But if we were 10th going into this last weekend, and yet Miami started the weekend as 12th, how does Miami get above us? We didn't lose a game. We were top 10 all season. Every ranking that it came out since week 4 up until this past weekend, Notre Dame was in the top 10. So how do we get bumped out of the top 10 now? Alabama is the most unique situation out of all this, because Alabama has 3 losses. Alabama had a bad loss in the SEC championship game. They were dominated in that game. Let's call it what it is. They were down 21-0 going into the 4th quarter. They end up losing 28-7. For most of the second half, that game is not even close. Georgia's up 3 touchdowns for most of the second half of that game. But Alabama did have the toughest strength of schedule this year. Like you said, they faced the most ranked teams. The tricky part with Alabama is, like you said, not only, like I just mentioned, not only losing the SEC championship game, but they were ranked 9th coming into the weekend. So how is it that Alabama can lose a game and not drop in their ranking? I think that's where the issue is with Notre Dame. It's not that Alabama got in. Let's say hypothetically, if Alabama was number 6 going into this weekend and they lost, all right, legitimately they should stay in the top 10. They lost to another top 10 team. They might move down a couple slots, but they're still a top 10. But if you were already 9th, how is it that Miami can move up? Alabama does not change at all, though, and Notre Dame is the team that's out. That's what Notre Dame's beef is.
So okay, so here's this what I'm gonna say. All right, so Alabama lost to Georgia, who's ranked third, so that's why they're not gonna drop them back. Now the problem with Notre Dame is they lost. One, they lost to Miami earlier in the season.
That was opening day, and I think that for the committee to hold that against Notre Dame, I think is unfair.
Well, no, that's not. I'm just saying that's just a piece of it. The other part to that is Miami played on their last game was against who was it against?
Because they didn't make their conference championship.
No, they played Pitt.
So
they beat Pitt this week. Who Pitt is ranked at 22, as opposed to Notre Dame, who beat Stanford, who's not ranked. So I'm not saying who should have gotten in. I'm saying they probably took into account those two things.
Miami and Notre Dame have the same record. Strength of schedule is very comparable. They had a lot of common opponents who, like, the results were kind of the same on both ends. Wins, close wins, whatever the case may be. The committee said at that point they had to use head-to-head. To me, I think that's unfair to penalize Notre Dame for that, because, for one, if you take on a ranked opponent your first game of the season, I think, if anything, that should give you more brownie points than somebody who took a cupcake, right? Because it's the first game of the season, so we're taking on the challenge to face a ranked opponent. And I believe that game was down in Miami. So they went on the road to play that game. They lost. Yeah. Now at the end of the season, and to use that against Notre Dame, then what's the incentive to take on a ranked opponent to start the season? And if anything, I should have took on a cupcake. I could have avoided Miami. But I think Notre Dame's bigger issue here is that, why were you ranking us top 10 all season then? If you felt that Notre Dame's win against us held more weight, understandable. Again, we went head to head. If you feel because they beat us, that should hold a little bit more weight, then Miami should have already started the weekend ranked ahead of Notre Dame. They should have started and I agree with Notre Dame in that aspect. They should have started ranked ahead. Like I said, I don't think Bama losing should be held against them too much, because, again, you're facing a top 5 team in a neutral site, and it's really not even a neutral site. That game's played in Atlanta, right? So it's going to be primarily, it's probably going to be 70-30 Georgia fans with a smaller section for Bama fans, right? Yeah. So I'm not mad at Bama for losing that game. And as you said, the SEC and Bama specifically, in terms of strength of schedule, is one of the toughest schedules anybody's ever played. I think at one point this season, they had played the most top 10 opponents in a season, right? Yeah. So I give them the credit for that. I'm just playing devil's advocate from the standpoint of, if you're the committee, again, if you knew that going into this conference championship weekend, and hey, Bama at number 9 is probably safe, then I think you should have started the weekend with Miami over Notre Dame already. It should not have been, well, Miami's going to start here at 12 and Notre Dame's going to be at 10, because then it makes sense as to why you're taking Notre Dame out of the top 10. Notre Dame didn't do anything to hurt their cause.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the college football playoff messed up. You can't put a team there and all year praise them for being a top 10 team, and then when it's time for the playoffs, say, oh, we're not going to do it. Now, I think the bigger issue that college football is facing as well is, this weekend, they got a major, major blow to this whole Power 5 thing, because had Virginia won the ACC, Virginia would have made the playoff. They lose to Duke. The whole point of this playoff system was that the Power 5 was supposed to get a conference winner in the playoffs, and then the other 7 seeds would be judged by strength of schedule, record, all those type of things. Yeah. Right? So because Duke beat Virginia, now it's allowing other teams that probably should not have been in the playoffs, and I'm speaking specifically to Miami, to now get in. Yeah. If that's what we're doing, then what's the point of even having a conference championship game now? Because now you're not even giving an automatic bid to the conference champion. And no disrespect to James Madison, if James Madison gets blown out in their first game, everybody's going to say the college football playoff is flawed. Because I'm serious, because if they get blown out, it's true, you're right. If they get blown out, you telling me James Madison was more deserving than Notre Dame? Notre Dame's running back is a Heisman finalist. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're telling me that James Madison was more deserving than Notre Dame?
Now, I'm wondering, because they're in the independent conference now, whatever.
Notre Dame has always been independent. They've never really aligned with anybody. They play an independent schedule.
So I don't know, man. You know, and the thing is, see the way that they're gonna be able to get over is because it's not like they dropped them to 15. It's like, oh well, they were 10 and they were 11. You know, it could have went either way. It just the coin kind of just flipped on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like you kind of even you get the out because it's like, yo, like, well, yeah, they're right there. Just we just felt this, and this, and they didn't this, and that, and then you know what I mean. So it's tough, but college football always have some issues going on. So
yeah, I think it's the 12-team playoff is good. I just think there needs to be more consistency in terms of how are we determining who's eligible for the playoffs. I really do think they should simplify it and say, look, if you win one of the Power 5 conferences, then you're in. And I know everybody's not going to agree with that, but then if there is no incentive to win your conference championship, then what's the point of having it? Because again, no disrespect to Bama or Miami, they didn't win their conference championship, and they're making the playoffs, right? In the NFL, in the NBA, and Major League Baseball, if you win your division, that guarantees you a playoff spot. Yeah. Doesn't matter what your record is. I won my division, I'm in.
That's it.
So it should be the same way in college football. If you're a Power 5 school, if you win that conference championship, you're in, and then the other 7 seeds, those get determined by, again, strength of schedule and who's the best team left out of the 7.
Yeah. OKC 23-1 at one point was up 30 on the Jazz without SGA. Hell, when do they lose again? I mean, I don't know when they lose, but them being up by 30 over the Jazz, that's not really saying much because the Jazz.
I mean, because the other night the Knicks started on a 25-0 run to start that game. Because
that's what it is. So
it ain't really saying much about.
I'm not gonna give y'all too much credit for beating the Jazz by 30. I don't care. Like, if you beat them by 100, then I'd be like, yeah, they put some work in tonight. But yeah, that but as far as the 23-1 start goes, I mean, we're gonna talk about this, I'm sure, every week, Eric. Incredible start to the season. This may be one of the most historical runs we see because it's like I don't know when they lose again. I don't go like there hasn't been a game I went into and picked the other team yet. So,
well, this is their next 4. They got some good teams. I mean, they're going to be favored in all these games, but they got Phoenix on Wednesday.
Dub. They
get the Clippers after that.
Dub.
Definitely a dub. They get the Timberwolves after that. That's on next Friday.
They've been having their way with the Timberwolves.
Yeah, they've been having their way with them. They get the Grizzlies after that.
Dub.
Then they go back to back against the Spurs.
Wemby's not playing. Dub.
Yeah, I mean,
so
then after that, their last 3 games,
right there, right?
Yeah, then their last 3 games of the month. You're looking at, do they play Christmas Day? Yeah, they do play Christmas Day. That's against the Thunder. I don't think Wemby's going to be back by then.
Against the Spurs again.
Yeah, against the Spurs on Christmas Day. That's the 2:30 p.m.
game. That'll be 3 games against the Spurs then this season?
No. That was that back-to-back I was talking about. That 23rd, and then they played the 25th.
Oh, okay.
And then their last 3 games of the month are home against the 76ers, home against the Hawks, home against the Trailblazers. They finished this month on a 4-game homestand.
So basically saying they finished this month undefeated.
I don't want to go that far because
who beating them?
I feel like they could lose one of those games to the Spurs.
Without Wemby, I don't know, man. Like if Wemby was there, I would say yes. I'm with you 1,000%. I think they split. But
I'm gonna tell you right now, I wouldn't be surprised. If that Timberwolves game is tough and if one of those Spurs games is tough. All the other, like I said, they're going to be favored in every game.
Yes.
So I don't think we're questioning if they're the better team. I could see them getting tripped up in one of those games. Maybe Ant-Man just goes crazy on that Friday night game against the Thunder, and that might be the one to trip them up. But I don't know if they're going to finish. If they would have finished out this month winning all those games I talked about, they would be 32-1. going into January.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might as well just put the stamp on it because
I'm not going that far. I'm gonna say, mark my words now. I'm highlighting. I expect them to beat the Suns on Wednesday. I definitely expect them to beat the Clippers next week.
Can you find out, Eric? What's the line?
Crazy. Hold on.
OKC going 32-1.
That's crazy that they get. Oh, I see why. So because of the NBA Cup, I don't know if that does count against their record, but I was gonna say after Wednesday, they're not scheduled to play another game until next Wednesday, but that's because of the Cup. They might be playing all weekend during the Cup.
Okay.
So you're saying they're gonna win the NBA Cup, not lose one game in the NBA Cup, and then just pick right up and just keep playing.
Basically,
I can see them. I can see them winning the NBA Cup and then losing that second game after the NBA Cup, which is that Friday night against the Timberwolves. That'll be my prediction. Shout out to Will.
Let's come back up here to the top. Hold on. We go to Kyrie. He says, like, love, dislike, or hate Rodgers post-game comments. Aaron Rodgers got to get it together. I feel like it's always something now with Aaron Rodgers every week. No, I'm good.
What did Aaron Rodgers say? What did I miss?
This was the one about his teammates, right? That's what you're referring to, Kyrie?
I thought that was last week. I thought he said something different.
He said something different again?
That's what I'm wondering because he said, "Do we like love of the comments?" Let me see. I'm trying to see if he said something different.
I Aaron Rodgers after he lied about the vaccine, so I stopped listening to this comments.
I just think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are so much smoke and mirrors. Like it's such bull. Some of these games they win. The Isaiah Likely, I thought that was a catch yesterday, Trip. I'm sure you thought that was a catch in the Ravens game.
Yes, definitely. That was crazy.
The Ravens are super frustrating at this point. I think I've lost faith in the Ravens as currently constructed as well. Harbaugh might have to go because it just doesn't make sense that you have a multi-time MVP. You still have a really good running back. You still got some good weapons. And every week, this offense looks like they struggle. There should be a struggle to get to 22 points for the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't see anything that he said, Kyrie. So I don't know if it was something different than last week. But I think we talked about it last week. Aaron Rodgers is the ultimate finger point. It's everybody else's fault except his.
Basically. D'Angelo, what up? He says, how dangerous is this version of the Bills? The Bills are a dangerous team regardless. Obviously they had a couple of hiccups this season, but they're a dangerous version already. Like this is a team that we talk about going to a Super Bowl, or at least an AFC Championship game. So you know what I mean. So yeah, they this don't tell me nothing I didn't already know about this team. It's still a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. It's still a team you definitely don't want to see in Buffalo in the playoffs.
Josh Allen makes them dangerous, but outside of that, I don't know if I'm sold on anything else. As we talked about, I don't trust their receivers. I love James Cook. Tight ends are okay. Yeah, tight ends are okay, but I just don't trust the receivers that they have. And let's not put too much into this. Again, this is a Bengals team that has a terrible defense. Joe Burrow was doing everything in his power to win that game yesterday. A couple bad plays by their offense, but the Bengals probably should have won this game. And we're probably having a different conversation with Joe Burrow. If that pass doesn't get picked off at the line of scrimmage, we're probably having a different conversation about this Buffalo team. But they get their test next week. They get to play the Patriots. That game is probably for the division. The Patriots have a 2-game lead on them right now in the division with the tiebreaker. That game's in New England. New England's coming off a bye week. We're going to learn a lot about one of those teams next week.
That's a fact. I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be a good, a very good game. Let me see. Did you all see Dr. Cheyenne Bryan on Shannon Sharp's show? She is deep, but the standout part, she told him he still hasn't found himself at age 60. I think Sharp is 57. Oh, but thoughts on her? He hasn't found himself. I mean, she's in her profession, I guess, so she could say that about somebody, I guess. But I don't know about that. So you haven't found yourself. What does that mean? Just because he might like a younger tenderoni, that means he hasn't found himself because he like 23, 24-year-olds. I don't know. That just mean could it just mean he's an old hornball? You know, like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What like where do you come to that conclusion from to say that he hasn't found himself at 57? But she's a trained professional, so I guess who am I to say otherwise?
I mean, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and um, I'm not knocking what she perceives as what she's seen from Shannon Sharp now, unless they have a deeper relationship where they've known each other for years. I don't think you could tell somebody just from a distance, or I don't think you found yourself. Like,
Yeah.
what relationship or friendship do they have that gives her the authority to say that? Because unless you know this man personally for several years, this might be who he is, and he might be very comfortable in who he is. And I get the impression that Shannon Sharp is very comfortable in who he is. Now, he may not fit the mold that other people want him to be, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he's not comfortable, and that doesn't mean he hasn't found who he is. I think he speaks openly about who he is. He's vulnerable when he talks about his brother, when he talks about his grandmother. Mm-hmm. Those things are sign of somebody who's very comfortable with who they are. A lot of men don't want to show emotion for fear of vulnerability. Shannon doesn't shy away from that. So my question is for Dr. Bryant. She sounds like and seems like a very highly educated woman and very knowledgeable in his experience. But what's her relationship status? What's her love life look like over the last 15 years? Because it's easy to critique other people on what they're not doing right and who they should be falling for.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not married yourself, or if you've had a failed marriage, or if you've had failed relationships, like how easy is it for you to critique me when you can't correct the issues that you've been having yourself?
Well, Will said she deep down was talking about him playing in the snow, in my opinion.
Yeah, but
that's corny.
That's super corny. And again, that's people trying to try to implement their thoughts and their beliefs on everybody else. Who you like is who you like. Who you love is who you love. Whether he likes white, black, brown, yellow, whatever type of women he like, or men for that matter, whatever it is, that's who he like. Like, who are we to say, well, you haven't found yourself because you date white women? What?
That's like
what?
Like, come on, like that. I don't like when people do that, because it's like, yeah, like you said, Eric, it's who you love and who loves you. If that woman is,
right,
give him the peace that he need. It shouldn't matter the race, whether you believe black should be with black, white should be white, Spanish and Spanish, like what. That's on you, but that's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking him for being into who he into.
That's what I'm saying. I agree as well. And it's crazy that conversation of interracial relationships only comes up when it's a black man, because nobody criticizes black women for dating white men. That standard is only held for black men, which is a shame, and it's also embarrassing. Again, people love to throw out double standards and life this like, yeah, but when it comes to those type of standards, it's only an issue when it's a man who does it. It's never an issue when it's a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is what it is. Let me come back up to the top here. Okay. Eric. I'm on strike right now from answering questions about Baltimore. So I'm gonna need you to I'm gonna need you to take this question from me. I'll read it, but that's it. Have the Steelers regained control in the AFC North?
For the time being, I mean, they obviously got the 1-game lead. They got the tiebreaker, but I don't think that I'm not sold on the Steelers, and I've made that case plenty of times. I still think when it's all said and done, the Ravens are probably going to win this division. But for Pittsburgh, they got the 1-game lead. And I mean, if we take a look at their schedule coming up, they get an interesting game against Miami next week because Miami's been hot lately, 6-7. They're trying to battle to stay in the playoff spot. But overall, the Steelers' schedule isn't easy. Again, you get that Dolphins game, that's probably a 50-50 game. Steelers will be favored. That game's in Pittsburgh. The weather's going to be cold, and Tua has a long history of not playing well in cold weather. After that, they got to go to Detroit. They got to go to Cleveland, and then they finish the year against the Ravens. 9 wins, maybe wins this division. Do they have control right now? Yes, Lamar. Am I confident in their control? No. Every week, you got Aaron Rodgers limping off the field or looking beat up on the field. This offense isn't really good. This defense has been inconsistent. They have moments where you see some of the potential from that pass rush, then you have other moments where they just can't get to the quarterback. So I don't trust it. I think Mike Tomlin is coaching for his life at this point. I think he knows that if they don't make the playoffs, he's probably out. Even if they do make the playoffs, it may not be enough to save his job at this point because I just think that it might be time for a new voice in that locker room. But in terms of control of the North, yeah, I mean, but that control of the North is a week-by-week thing. They started the season very quickly, and they started out hot early. They haven't looked good the last couple of weeks. Again, they kind of skated by and got through this Baltimore game that I didn't think they played better than Baltimore, but Baltimore kept shooting themselves in the foot and goal line stops, 4th down stops. So I'm not confident in the Steelers. They have control right now. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose to Miami next week, to be honest, because that's how inconsistent they've been all year.
All right. Now that Eric's got that out the way, let's go to the question I've been waiting for. Ron says, what did Fedor prove Sunday? Stefanski takes him off the field for a potential game-tying 2-point attempt. He you know what? He didn't prove anything. Because we already knew this. We already knew he should have been the starter in Cleveland. We already knew he should not have been picked in the 5th round. We already knew Stefanski is a horrible coach who keeps calling horrible plays, who keeps taking out your marquee future franchise player. Maybe not yours because you probably won't be there much longer because the people aren't going to stand for this. When you got a kid who's out here throwing for almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you are taking the team out of position to win because they should have won that game. It's time for Stefanski to go. Shout out to Shador. He just continues to ball out and get better and better, and he continues to show us what you knew he was capable of doing, what I knew he was capable of doing. But a lot of people out here wanted to downplay him and go against him, and there's always some negative thing to say about Shador. Well, guess what? He is him, and he has arrived, and now you cannot deny this young man anymore, and I love it.
Shador, what did he prove? I started laughing when I saw this question from Ron because normally it's Kyrie who wants to know what was proved. But Ron said, nah, I'll take the mantle up this week. I need to know. Shador proved what we thought back in April at the draft, that Shador should have been a first-round pick, that Shador should have been in the conversation of the first quarterback taken. Let's not allow the stupidity of Stefanski to overshadow how good Shador looked on the field yesterday. And by the way, we're talking about Shador when he was on the field with the number 1 pick in the draft. Cam Ward did not look good as Shador Sanders last year, even though Cam Ward was a day 1 starter. And I like Cam. There's no knock on Cam, but Cam was the day 1 starter. Cam got all the day 1 reps with the Titans, and Cam threw for 115 yards yesterday, Trip. And meanwhile, Shador, who we've talked about for weeks, who we said the odds have been stacked against him. He has not gotten the backing of the organization. He has specifically the head coach. He's had receivers who I felt were out of pocket because what Jerry Jeudy did last week was completely disrespectful to show him up that way on the sidelines. And all he did was go out there and ball. And if not for their special teams yesterday, because it wasn't because of Shador, their special teams is what cost them that game, maybe the Browns would have won. Yeah, maybe the Browns would have won and they would have been 2-1 with Shador as a starter. He's been named the starter for the rest of the season. But I think Shedeur proved the talent is there. The leadership is there. This team is following him. This is another week trip where we praise the ability to stretch the field, throwing the ball down the field, connecting with receivers down the field. Shedeur has everything. And the real question is going to be, how much are the Browns going to support him moving forward? Because anybody who's watched football knows that Shedeur has the talent. Are the Browns going to commit to making him their I'm not going to go as far as say, oh, he's got to be the franchise quarterback. Are they going to commit to giving him the opportunity to be successful? Can we get you some weapons? Can we develop this offensive line? Can we get you an offensive coordinator who's gonna develop you into the player that we think you could become?
Now here's my thing, and this is what I love. This is the best part. Shedeur is in the best possible position that you could be in this situation. You know what? Actually, everything's gonna work out for Shedeur, because guess what? Shedeur's not under that big rookie deal that first round quarterbacks get.
Correct.
He's going to be able to leave very soon, and he's going to have his pick of where he wants to go. Maybe that's pick. There's going to be a couple teams that already got their quarterbacks, but he's going to be able to put himself in a very good situation, because guess what? You got teams like, let's say, the Minnesota Vikings, who have two number one wide receivers, a really good running back, but not a good quarterback, that he could find himself playing in Minnesota maybe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of other teams that could use a little boost at the quarterback position, that he could just come right on over and find himself a pretty good home. So, Cleveland, you should probably be on your best behavior right now. You should probably be doing everything possible to make Shedeur happy and to make him want to re-sign and stay in Cleveland. Because of your incompetence, he's now going to be able to walk away very soon, and then you're going to be really stuck with Dylan Gabriel. So, good luck to you guys on that one. And yeah.
Well, remember, Trip, that was one of the things I was hoping for early on. I really wish they would have cut him. I even said at the time, once he got past the third round, don't draft him. Let him be a free agent. Let him go somewhere that not only wants him there, but will develop him there. And I've always said my ideal landing spot for Shedeur would be in LA with Sean McVay. And go ahead and, hey, it would be an honor to sit behind Matthew Stafford for 1 year. Matthew Stafford's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's accomplished a lot in this league, but he's also older. And if you sit for 1 year, look what not even 6 months, look what 6 games did for Baker Mayfield in LA. Just being able to study with Sean McVay and, all right, this is concepts and this is what defense is trying to do. So imagine Shedeur with that opportunity to just in film study with Sean McVay every day and be like, hey, look, and not only are you getting to kind of internship until Matthew Stafford leaves, we're handing you the keys of an offense that has Puka Nacua, that has Kyron Williams, that has Devontae Adams. We give you the weapons right now.
Exactly.
To go ahead and be successful every week. So, like you said, the Browns are going to do it to themselves, and I think Shedeur has handled it massively. I think all young athletes should look at the way Shedeur has handled it, because you know what, you say the right things, you nod your head, you be respectful in all those media opportunities. But behind closed doors, I'm sure Shedeur and his team are thinking, the moment we can get out of here, we're out of here. They ain't getting no hometown discount. We ain't worried about negotiating on good terms with them.
It ain't his one.
Right. I'm not now. You guys didn't play fair with me, so I'm not gonna play fair with y'all. When it's time for me to go, y'all gonna have to run up a crazy number for me to even consider staying here.
Exactly. If I stay here, I'm gonna need a contract better than what you gave to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you're gonna have to run up a crazy bag.
Yep. There you go. I don't care about nothing else. The bag is that's it. All right. Shout out to Pooh. She says, what's the deal going on with Matt Barnes and some IG model? Y'all know the story?
Yeah.
What happened, Eric?
So this started probably about a month and a half ago. I don't know if you saw. Matt Barnes had put out a video talking about this woman who was trying to extort him out of money. He was very vague in how they met, but he made it seem as if they were talking online, and then as he tried to cut it off is when his ex was pregnant, And Shorty kept talking about exposing him. And so therefore he was sending her money to kind of keep it quiet. His words though were that he never met up with Shorty. They only had interactions on social media. And because his girlfriend was dealing with, I don't know if they were married. I think that was his fiance at the time and they broke up. Mm-hmm. Because it was a high risk pregnancy, he didn't want anything to ever come out that would upset her and possibly have her lose the baby. Yeah. So he was paying a woman. Now come to find out it wasn't really a woman at all. It was an AI generated person.
Nah.
Yeah, it was an AI generated person. The crazy part, and this is where I thought Matt fucked up completely.
You didn't video chat?
He claims they only text and sent videos, but never video chatted. This way, I think Matt completely fucked up though, and lost some credibility in this situation. He paid the chick 13 times. Mm-hmm. You kept paying her. Like I could understand the first time, like, all right, I'm gonna slide you a couple dollars, yo, just chill. I'm not trying to upset wifey. She pregnant, but 13 payments were sent over. Now, I guess as law enforcement got involved in trying to look into extortion, they realized this isn't even a real person.
That's crazy.
So my question is, who was worse? Was Matt Barnes or Manti Te'o worse? Because Manti was talking to an imaginary person that ended up being a dude. And Matt Barnes was talking to an AI generated model who's probably was a dude behind that too. so I want to know, shout out to the supporters. We might have to pose this question on Wednesday. Who was worse, Manti Te'o or Matt Barnes?
And I feel bad because shout out to Matt Barnes, because when I was in LA, Matt Barnes showed me mad love. You know what I'm saying? He definitely, he shouted us out and all of that. But it's just like, dang, bro, like this is getting out of order, man.
Matt was bugging with that, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what 13. Like that's getting that's wow. Pooh says, is it time to look into trading Zion? And then if I'm another team, why would I want a player who don't even play 50% of the games? Well, that's the conundrum that you're in right now, because you probably want to get rid of Zion at this point, but who's trying to take on that contract for somebody who's injury prone, right? It was funny because we were trying to pick a game to go to this year at the Barclays Center, right? So we're looking at the teams where it's like, I know we could sit really close because it's like probably them playing against another mid-tier or lower team, right? So one of the teams that my boy suggested was the Pelicans. He's like, yeah, we can see Zion. I'm like, bro, I'm not banking on a game that's a month and a half away that features Zion, because he's probably gonna be injured before we even get to the game.
Yep.
The game was December 18th. That was no, excuse me, not December 18th. It was sometime this month that the game was supposed to be. The game I'm gonna go to is on the 18th, but it was sometime this month where it was supposed to play the Pelicans, and I'm just like, look, he's already injured. I would have been tight if I listened and bought tickets to see the Pelicans play the Nets, because I'm thinking I'm gonna get to see Zion and he's injured.
Yeah. I think it's time that we stop talking about Zion like he's a superstar.
Yeah, that's over with.
The shout out to Poole, but to even like we're worried about, is it time to trade Zion? Trade him where? For what? Zion ain't shown nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I know early on there was excuses made for him. Maybe he don't want to be in New Orleans. He got to get his weight together, bro. Zion been in the league 6 years, 7 years now, bro.
Yeah, we can't keep coming with these excuses.
Like, come on. It ain't. I'm sorry, it's never gonna click for Zion. And some guys, and we talked about this before, Trip. Some guys just peak in high school. Some guys peak in college. That's life. Zion, unfortunately, is a guy he peaked. And when we look back on the journey of Zion, we got to be honest too. Zion wowed us with his athleticism. Mm-hmm. But if you look back, and you know this, you're a Duke fan. You look back when they recruited Zion there, when it was Zion, it was RJ Barrett and what's the kid? Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish, there you go.
RJ Barrett was the jewel of that draft, of that recruiting class. RJ Barrett was the number one rated player coming out of high school. RJ Barrett was the guy that Duke was most excited about.
Zion was third, actually.
Right, that's what I'm saying. RJ was the guy, but Zion kept having these highlight dunks that people started falling in love with his game and like, oh my God, he's so powerful. Can he be the next Charles Barkley? Is he like a mix between a Barkley and a Sean Kemp? But if you look back, RJ Barrett was the best player on that team. It's just Zion caught that wave at the right time, and everybody started talking about Zion.
He went viral, and he kept going viral.
Yeah, he just kept going viral. But it's no different. And I'm gonna use a cross sports reference here. What Zion did is no different than what Jadeveon Clowney did at South Carolina, where Clowney had that big tackle, went viral before it was viral, and everybody went crazy over the kid and his athleticism. Exactly. And then the talent never really matched up to that moment. Good player, but it was never matched up to that moment. Zion's the same way. And like I said, we're talking about Zion. Even if you trade Zion, what you gonna get from him? Nobody giving you lottery picks for Zion Williamson. Nobody giving you a bunch of picks. It's gonna be like, yo, we'll throw you a couple, maybe a late first rounder, and we'll throw you a salary dump because you got to throw some salary in it. But you're not getting nothing for Zion at this point. You're not winning no games with Zion. Zion's never played. Remember somebody asked earlier, do you trust him in a big game? Zion's never played in a big game. He's never played in any meaningful games. Yeah. So there's nothing to trade for.
Exactly. Lamar says, how far can defense carry the Texans in the playoffs?
I like this question.
Well, I don't know because when you say defense is carrying the team into the playoffs, I think about Rex Grossman and the Bears that lost to Peyton Manning.
That's a great comparison. Yep.
Right. This ain't that, because they actually do have an offense. They got weapons out there. The running game might have took a hit because of all of the injuries, but Nico Collins is a star.
Yeah.
Right. CJ Stroud is a star, and they got something going there. It's not like now the defense may be better than the offense, but the offense ain't bad now either. Like they still have a pretty good defense. So I don't know if this is a situation where can a defense carry the team to the playoffs.
I think that defense is legit. I think it's one of the best defenses in football. Outside of the Texans, I think the Broncos, I think the Seahawks are probably the two defenses that you look at like they can take over a game. But in the AFC, especially if Kansas City doesn't make the playoffs, who's the best quarterback? Josh Allen?
Yeah, because Joe Burrow not making the playoffs.
Joe Burrow not making the playoffs. Bo Nix, I don't consider Bo Nix an elite quarterback. Right? Drake May's a good quarterback, elite caliber, but he's young.
Yeah, this dude, Jay Herbo.
Jay Herbo, right. But Jay Herbo's never had his big playoff moment either. He's 0-2 in the playoffs, and this Texans defense actually beat up on Jay Herbo last year in the playoffs. So when you consider the landscape of the AFC and you let's say if the playoffs started today and there's no Lamar, there's no Burrow, there's no Mahomes. The only elite quarterback is Josh Allen, which means that for a team like the Texans who play defense on that level, that defense could probably carry them to the Super Bowl. Because I would take that defense going up against Bo Nix. I would take that defense going up against Aaron Rodgers. I would take that defense going up against Drake May. Right. That defense is really, really good. And if you're not an elite quarterback, that defense is going to give you some trouble. So I think they can possibly get to the AFC Championship game just with that defense alone, especially when you consider the other quarterbacks they might have to face.
I don't think that defense is going into Buffalo though and beating them. I think that's where it would stop.
Buffalo would be favored. I would expect Buffalo to win. But again,
it'll be a game.
Which receiver is scaring you on Buffalo?
No, ain't nobody is scared. It's just Josh Allen scaring me.
No, right. That's what I'm saying. Josh himself. But if you're the Texans, you would go into that and like, yo, we got a pretty.
Oh yeah, we got a chance. Your confidence would be.
Yeah, your confidence would be high. So I like their defense.
All right, let me see what we got next. Lamar says, "Did you guys or anyone in the chat see the viral moment the UCLA men's basketball trainer was working on a player and she was squatting?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, the yams.
Oh yeah. Woo.
I didn't see what the NBA players were saying. Though. What did they say about it?
I just saw a bunch of different reactions to it. because somebody was like, Hobie was running up and down the court just fine a minute ago. Now he don't want to get off that bench. But I gotta send. I think I got it. I gotta send it to you, Trip.
All right, we'll check. I'll check it out when you send it over. Oh, this is a good one here. Squeezy says, "Did you all see the video of Chris Paul in the hall hugging Ty Lue's girl? Then Ty Lue comes around the corner, sees CP, walks past him, and hugs his girl."
Nah, I didn't see that.
I didn't see them hugging each other's girls. I seen the practice footage though. It's crazy. I still think it kind of sucks that Chris Paul got cut, especially after him saying this was going to be his last season. But it must have been really toxic then, if for him literally to announce this is going to be his last season, and a week later or less than a week later he gets cut. It must have been really really toxic environment.
They said that there was a story that came out. I forgot who was reporting that. I think it was Chris Haynes that reported there was an interaction that took place on the bench. Ty Lue and Chris Paul already weren't speaking for a few days, but there was a defensive assignment that Kawhi Leonard had on Klay Thompson during that game against the Mavs. Mm-hmm. Kawhi was struggling because Klay was running him off a bunch of different screens and stuff. And Chris Paul had made the suggestion that maybe we should take Kawhi off of him. Ty Lue didn't want to do it. And then Chris Paul went to Kawhi directly and was like, yo, you probably should just switch with somebody on the court and let somebody else get him. And they did it on the court. Ty Lue didn't like that Chris Paul had kind of undermined him after he had already said he didn't want to switch Kawhi off of Klay. And then Stan Van Gundy, who's one of the assistants, had asked Chris Paul, like, hey, did you change the defensive assignment on the court? He was like, well, I just made this suggestion. And then Stan Van Gundy's response was, you don't have that type of leeway to change the defensive assignments on the court. Like, this ain't the Clippers that you was part of years ago. You just can't change that defensive assignment.
Was Kawhi getting cooked or something? Because I didn't see the game.
So it was. I don't want to say he was getting cooked. Klay had made a couple shots, but more than anything, Kawhi was really struggling getting through those screens. You know, Klay is a guy who's going to run you through a bunch of screens, and Kawhi was having trouble keeping up with him on the screens, and so Chris Paul was suggesting switch him off, and that's what led to all that. But the other stuff that I've heard is true too, that they hadn't been speaking for a little bit. You know, who knows what was going on behind the scenes. And if you're Chris Paul, I think it's disrespectful the way it was handled. But at the same time, I mean, what's stopping Chris Paul from signing with the Rockets right now?
See,
right?
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Sometimes God opens up doors for you. You gotta recognize what he's doing. Sometimes he give you the blessing.
That's a fact. Hoop Central says quietly with AD back, the Mavs have been winning. Even with Kyrie, if his ass would play games, they have a chance in the games. Cooper Flag looks better with AD playing. I mean, come on, of course, he gonna like. Okay, we got to be clear. All right, Anthony Davis is a superstar.
Yeah,
he is just injury prone, but he is a superstar. He is an NBA champion. He's an All NBA caliber player. He's an All Defensive caliber player. Like you know what I'm saying? So yes, you damn right Cooper Flag gonna look better with him on the court as opposed to him off the court, because everybody else out there is, you know, respectfully, but you know, they ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, of course, every team is gonna look better when you have another superstar on the court. That's just how that thing goes. But I am, you know, listen, I want to see this team at full strength, because we really can't even make an assessment on how good or how bad this team can be until everybody's on the court.
Yeah, I think Cooper Flag has looked better. Well, let's start with the first part of it. Like you said, Anthony Davis is a highly skilled offensive and defensive player, one of the better basketball minds. Because if you've ever seen clips of him talking about assignments and understanding defensive assignments and schemes and switches, highly intellectual guy. So I'm sure just having him on the court is going to make things easier for Cooper Flag, because you got that rim protector who can help you out. But I also think there's been some minor adjustments with having Anthony Davis back because Cooper Flag is not playing on ball as much as he was early this season. Remember, that was one of the questions he had the first week. He's been off ball a little bit more. And I think Jason Kidd, his rotations have been a little better with Nembhard playing now. They haven't forced this. Early in the season, they were trying to force like 3 bigs on the floor. Now they've kind of gone away from that and gone with some more traditional lineups. So I think that has helped. But ultimately, like you said, Anthony Davis, when healthy, Anthony Davis is a top 10, top 12 guy in the league when healthy. Like, there's no debating that. So having him along with Cooper Flag, along with that defense that Dallas plays, they're going to look good and they're going to look better. And like you said, if Kyrie does come back from Central, then it gives them a legitimate shot to compete with some of the big dogs of the West. But just having Anthony Davis on the floor is automatically going to make you a better team.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Imani. She says, did you both see the video with Peyton and Kuminga on the bench? And a young dude was recording them. They wasn't paying him no mind, but Peyton says, I found her on the gram. And Kuminga says, you got to hit that. Well, it was funny if Peyton has a girlfriend. Well, Peyton is funny. Peyton and Eli, like the Manning brothers is hilarious.
That's not the Peyton they talking about.
Who's Peyton talking about? Oh, who is
Gary Payton the second?
Oh, this is a real life situation. Then.
Yes,
it's like a spoof video. Oh no, that's different. Hold on. I mean, they was just checking out some, checking some geeks out or something, probably.
Probably, but man, the fan, you can't post that, bro. You gotta. That's one of them as a fan, especially if it was a dude. You gotta know, like, nah, don't violate like that.
You trying to go viral?
Everybody trying to go viral.
Hey, listen, give me an autographed jersey or something.
Right, like I'd have sent it to him in his DM, like, yo, bro, I ain't gonna post this, but yo, if you could, send me a jersey or a rookie card or something.
Well, throw me some tickets or something. At least.
Throw me some tickets, something. Like I ain't trying to expose nothing. I'm trying to see if I can come up a little bit.
Oh well, listen, he put it out. It's out there now, so it is what it is. Let me see this. More Kuminga. We're talking a lot about Kuminga today.
You know they love Kuminga, bro.
I see Kuminga didn't play at all in their win versus the Bulls. But the game before he started it was 1 for 10. At first, I'm like, Kerr, don't like him. Well, I don't think he is a favorite. But like one of you all said on here, maybe Kuminga isn't as good as some of us think. He is crazy athletic, but he missing something. I don't think he could shoot, but I think he gets moved. I mean, there's always a chance that certain teams, certain guys look good certain places, but you can't just move them anywhere and they'll still be that same level. And we learned this. I mean, we learned this several times, but more importantly, and more recently, we learned this with the Golden State Warriors, where Kevin Garnett said, and we talking about Hall of Fame. Kevin Garnett said Jordan Poole was going to be an all-star. I don't know why the heck he would make a statement like that out loud, but I saw if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. But I saw him say it. I saw the clip of him saying it, and you see how that one turned out. So it's possible this could be that type of situation as well.
I'm the one who said that in terms of I don't think Kuminga is as good as some people think. Again, that's not to knock his game because he's still super young. But I think that we as viewers, we tend to over-evaluate guys based off of like, oh, he could play, he gonna always hoop like that. Like, nah, you're not always gonna hoop that way. Somebody might have caught you on the right night and just seen you drop 25. Trip, you and I, we've been at Rucker, we've been at Hoops in the Sun, we've been at Dykeman. How many D1, D2 athletes we seen come through there and drop 25, 30? Like it's a normal night, right? Mm-hmm. So you catch somebody on the right night, they might look better than what they are. But I think that the real issue with Kuminga is he does not possess the basketball IQ that Steve Kerr wants. And that's not, I don't mean that negatively, because again, Kuminga is still very young. What Kerr is coaching for and what the Warriors are trying to do, they need high-level IQ guys to help Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler win. They don't need the freak athlete guy who is hot and cold. You're good this night, but then you're bad that night. That's a prime example. You're one of 10 in the night in Chicago when maybe you should have realized, hey, I'm going to stop looking for my shot and let me just do other things tonight. to win this game. That's what Kerr's looking for. And that's why I said that I don't think Kerr views Kuminga the way that a lot of the general public view Kuminga. Because a lot of people see Kuminga as this athlete who can get up and down the court and can score.
And that goes back to what we was talking about with Zion.
Right.
Because you get those highlights.
Right. You catch him on the right night. Yep.
So it is what it is. Imani says, my pop says he thinks Draymond Green's punch on Jordan Poole has the Warriors dynasty on life support. Do y'all agree?
No.
I mean, I will say this. I think that's a small contribution to it, right? The other part to that is teams get old.
Yeah.
These guys are old now. See, what we're seeing right now with OKC is different what we saw with Golden State because those guys were older when they started that historic run that they went on. They weren't, most of the team is under 25. It wasn't like that. So it was natural. You got to think. The Warriors won. What was the first? Their first trip was in what, 2015?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was LeBron's first year back in Cleveland.
Yeah, all right. So if you the thing about it from that standpoint, 2015, we about to be in 2026 right now. Age is the major contributing factor in the dynasty going down. Now, the reason why I say the Draymond punch on Poole was a small piece, but it did have a little bit to do with it because of what we were just talking about, where certain guys excel in certain systems. So if they don't get rid of Jordan Poole, okay, he was actually pretty good in that system. It's possible they're better, than they are now. And he's a guy who's younger who could take some of the pressure off of Steph because he can shoot the basketball, but obviously now he's not there. So that's a small piece. The major thing is age and guys, moving on with their careers, retiring. There's no Kevin Durant there anymore. There's no Iggy there anymore. The big men that Bogut is not there anymore. And these guys are getting older. They were already old, you know what I mean, when they won those chips 10 years ago.
Let's be clear, Amani, like shout out to your pops too. But when Draymond punched Jordan Poole, the Warriors had already been to 6 finals and won 4. Like, there wasn't much more they was going to really do after that. Like, even if they would have won one more championship, the dynasty, the run had already happened. It's not like they were at the beginning of the run and then it's like, oh, man, what could have been? They had already accomplished so much at that point. So I don't think that changed anything. The real thing that changed their dynasty was health and age. And injury, because after those Kevin Durant years, Klay Thompson was never the same, right? And to a deeper extent, the draft picks never worked out the way they thought. Whatever happened with Moses Moody? Whatever happened? What was the big man name that they drafted?
That they traded Wiseman.
Yeah, whatever happened to James Wiseman?
Yeah,
right.
I think is he in the G League right now?
So yeah, he's in the G League. So. Those were the guys that were supposed to extend the dynasty. Those young guys, Moody, Kuminga, James Wiseman. And out of those 3, only Kuminga's still on the team. It never materialized. And he's hot and cold. So it never materialized the way they thought. That would have been the ultimate. If they would have hit on at least 2 of those picks, and it would have extended the life, and you still have Curry and Draymond, like then it would have been like, yo, this might turn into. But once those picks didn't hit, that's what really put the dynasty on life support. I don't think the punch changes anything one way or the other because they had already won 4 chips. They had already been to 6 NBA finals. Even if he doesn't punch Jordan Poole, I don't think they would have got to another NBA finals.
Yeah. D'Angelo says the NBA Cup, Suns versus Thunder, Spurs versus Lakers, Magic versus Heat, and Knicks versus Raptors. Who you like in these matchups all the way to the finals and the winner? Well, I already picked OKC as the winner.
Yeah.
So I think they beat the Suns. I think the Lakers beat the Spurs, and then they lose to OKC. And then on the other side of that, I think the Knicks beat the Raptors. I think Orlando beats Miami, and then I actually think the Knicks beat Orlando, but they ultimately lose to OKC.
I agree with all the picks except one. I got Thunder winning. I got Lakers winning. I got the Heat beating the Magic. Franz Wagner hurt his knee the other day against the Knicks. That was actually yesterday's game, the early matinee game. So I don't know if he's going to be back in time. And they just got Paolo back as well. So maybe they might just be a little limited. The Miami style of play, Miami likes to get up and down the court. So they might be able to take advantage of a Magic team that's a little wounded. The Knicks are going to beat the Raptors. They blew them out recently. The Raptors can't rebound basketball. The Knicks are going to take advantage of them. So Knicks, Heat, Thunder, Lakers. I agree. Thunder are going to win, and I agree that the Knicks are going to beat that side and going to play the Thunder. And then the Knicks are going to beat the Thunder the way they're going to beat them in the NBA Finals later this year. I'm just speaking it into existence now, Trip. Don't rain on my parade.
I'm not saying anything, sir. I'm gonna
you got to speak these things into existence, Trip.
I got you. You got it, brother. Pooh says a lot of young NBA players with older females. LaMelo with a 37-year-old, Jalen Green with a 40-year-old, Ant-Man, which Chief Keef's baby moms who's pushing 40. Do these chicks prey on these youngins? I don't look at it as preying on these youngins, but actually I look at it as helping these youngins because most likely at that age they ain't getting pregnant, so they should be good. At least
ask Jalen Green.
At least,
yeah.
Damn it, Jalen Green, you had to mess up my theory. But she was 30. No, she's how old is
Dre is like our age. Dre is in her 40s, bro.
40? Oh,
Dre's son is like 24, bro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh wow. Man, you gotta strap it up then. Yeah, they yeah, my bad. They preying on these young bro.
Oh, they definitely preying on them. Cause remember Ant-Man, there was a rumor that came out with that stripper. They were saying Shorty, she met Ant when she was 24, he was 16. And she was already starting to fuck with him.
Oh no, that's different.
When he was still in high school and she was a stripper out in Atlanta. Because remember, Ant-Man was the #1 player in basketball and football in Georgia. So people in Georgia already knew, like, yo, the kid got a bright future. And Shorty said, yeah, let me just lock that in now.
See, I don't want to have a double standard because I feel, as men, if our sons, we got our daughters may trying to hit.
I'm not mad at them, right? We know these young dudes, first of all, I'm happy that they're able to live their life the way they want to live their life. You in the league, you living out your dreams. If this woman, like we said earlier, whoever you like, whoever you love, be with them. If these are the women that make you happy, go ahead. The only thing I hope is that you got the right people in your corner to put you on the game and you recognize things. There's nothing wrong with being involved with an older woman. Just don't let that woman take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I hope Ant-Man, I hope LaMelo, I hope Jalen Green, I hope they got the right people in their corner. Like, yo, protect your assets. Don't be giving her access to all the cards and the accounts. You want to spend some money on it, but don't let her drain your account and then have you looking like PJ Washington out here. You see how he beefing with his baby mother, who, oh, by the way, is also older than him too, because she in her like mid to late 30s as well.
Yeah. Get it together, fellas.
That's a fact.
Shout out to Janetta.
They can hire us, Trip. They can hire us, and we could counsel and give advice. That's going to be the agency we start right there. We're going to help young athletes with older women.
Bet, I'm with that. Janetta Johnson says, have you all seen the Diddy doc that 50 Cent is a part of? Anything you heard makes you be like, this ninja a hoe for this? My uncle says growing up, they thought Suge Knight was the villain, but it turns out Puff was. I seen Gene Deal got a new interview. He going at it with Misa Hilton. Well, first of all, Suge Knight was definitely the villain as well.
Suge was definitely a villain as well. Yeah,
we're not about to absolve Suge just because y'all just learning that Puff ain't the angel.
Right.
Suge still did a lot of dirt, so we ain't gonna do that.
Right.
I haven't watched the documentary in its entirety. But I did hear about the accusations of Puff being, involved in Pac's murder, and that I was like, yeah, no, that I'm not feeling that, because I don't believe that to be true. Especially, knowing Gene for as long as I have, and doing all of the work that we've done together, and that's not something that he ever has said that he believed, Puff was involved in with that at all. And I know there's gonna be a lot of Tupac fans that may, be mad at me because I'm not in agreement with that. But the thing about it is, if we want to be real and be honest with ourselves, I don't know what would have happened later on down the road, but on that night, Tupac involved himself in gang activity, and his life was taken because he involved himself in gang activity. That is all. That was not nobody. No, that was, you involved yourself in a gang assault on a known, respected gang member, and they came and spent the block on you, as known, respected gang members do. And that is how that situation played out. And God bless the dead, condolences and all of that. But if we're gonna keep it real and call a spade, Tupac involved himself in gang activity, which he should not have done. There should have been somebody telling him this is not for you to be involved in, instead of allowing him to not only be involved, but to lead the torch, in that gang assault. And then obviously we know the outcome from there.
Listen, man, I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna mess your head up with everything I'm about to say. But first, Trip, I've always told you, I give you your respect, I give you your flowers, I give you your praise, because people have asked us on the show how we met, and I always say Trip was the first person that gave me the opportunity to be on live TV, bro. Right? He was the first one. You ain't know me from Joe Schmo on the street, but you fuck with my blogs, and you was like, yo, I fuck with the dude, let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
Fast forward, one of my first interviews I ever did, was with Gene. I don't know if you remember. I remember you called me that day. Mm-hmm. Yo, we shoot, because you, Gene, and MREC had been working on the documentary, Raw Deal, The Last Big Night. For those of you that haven't seen it, go check it out. It's an amazing piece of work. It's on YouTube. It's up there. Go show some support. Shout out to MREC as well, because MREC actually was the first interview I ever had. Remember, we sat on the steps with him out of Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. But that was my first time ever meeting Gene. I thought Gene came across as very genuine, authentic. And as I've always said, the impression I get from Gene was that he was more hurt by how everything played out, because him and Puff, for people that don't realize, it wasn't just a bodyguard. He knew Puff before Puff became Puff Daddy. Mm-hmm. So it was personal for him. Yeah. And there was a certain hurt there, because this was somebody that not only did I risk my life for, I put it all on the line for this person. And there were things that Puff had done to kind of snake Gene and snake other people. With that being said, Gene has told us multiple times, I still got the clip up on my Instagram. I was actually schooling some people this week on it. I asked Gene, and I had to look back at the clip. We did an interview with Gene during COVID, remember, virtually. Yeah. And I asked Gene, it's on my Instagram, was there any truth to the Keefe D speculation? Any truth to Puff's affiliation with Southside Crips? Gene said to us, he said, yeah, they was dudes that looked out for us when we was out in Cali, but he wasn't a Crip, and that was more like street politics. You go out there, yada, yada, yada. But the most telling part of the clip, and this is what I'm gonna get into in terms of the documentary, and there's a couple of things that I have an issue with 50 did. Shout out to 50. 50 been doing this thing, but I feel 50 was very misleading with this documentary. They played a Keefe D audio. Everybody's running with this narrative. Oh, Puff paid Keefe D. Gene told us himself. He said, we had seen Keefe D several times after Tupac had passed away, was murdered. Keefe D, for as strong as he was in the street, if Puff owed him $1 million, why he never pressed Puff about it then? Right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to tell this narrative, tell the whole story. So there's that aspect of it, which now you got people believing that Puff put a bounty out on Tupac. Yeah. Right? Because again, this is reckless journalism in a way by 50, because there are narratives that he's not telling the whole story of. The Quad Studio shooting. We ain't got to say no name, Trip, but we know the name that's always been thrown out as to what happened that night in Quad.
Yeah.
The part that got left out in the documentary, I had to even remind my wife about this. Tupac was on trial for a rape. Tupac had made enemies with certain individuals out of Brooklyn behind that rape. And Tupac was made an example of at Quad Studios. And Funk Flex talked about this again during COVID. And this is why what I think 50 did was very irresponsible, because he's catering to an audience that either was too young to know what happened or people who aren't going to do their research.
Yes.
Tupac shot himself in Quad Studios.
Mm-hmm.
That's been confirmed by multiple people that were there and even people in Pac's camp.
Yes.
That's what started the shooting. The whole point of him being there was they were going to embarrass him, quote unquote, like in the streets say, we're going to spank you real quick. We're going to embarrass you. You're going to get robbed and you're going to go about your business. So when 50 puts in a documentary, it wasn't a robbery. They didn't take his chain and none of that. That was their intent until Tupac shot himself, which then led to the shootout in this lobby of the building, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So is Puff a monster? In a lot of instances, yes. But I don't think this is anything new. Just like when they talk about, Puff didn't do right by Craig Mack and didn't pay his money. Shit, Puff ain't do right by none of his artists. Yeah. Why do you think the Locks left? Why did Mace leave? Right?
Exactly. So
that ain't exclusive to Craig Mack. It's unfortunate, but that ain't
he wasn't the only one.
Situation. Right. A lot of these people that dealt with him had to go through the same thing. So I think that this documentary is trying to paint this whole narrative of him in a particular way to sell an agenda and to make it seem like he was responsible for every negative thing that's happened in hip hop is his fault. All of it. Right? All of it. But we're not going to give context to these situations. We're not going to give context to the fact that, and to fast forward a little bit too, even with Biggie, as I've asked Gene several times, did he think Puff had something to do with it? He said no. But he said, I felt like he was careless when he went out there. Felt like his ignorance took a factor in it. And so for them to spin a narrative as if like he had something to do with Big getting killed out there, bro, they was out in Cali for weeks.
Yeah.
People forget that part of it. They make it seem like, they just got the Cali guy. They was out there for weeks, bro. They had been out there for a long time. They had got the warnings. What they didn't say in the documentary was Big didn't want to go to London. That's why they stood out in Cali so long, right? It was one of the things that Gene had told us as well, that all the Junior Mafia didn't have their passports. They wasn't going to be able to go with them out there. So Big didn't want to go. Little C's also talked about that. Big didn't want to go. So had Big left to the UK when he was supposed to, none of that ever happens. So then what would have happened to Puff's plan, the way the documentary makes it seem then? Was he going to kill him in the UK?
Yeah. London bloke.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it doesn't make sense. But again, this is the narrative that's created to play off of people who either were too young to know what happened or people who are not in the know enough to like, let me do the research and really tie these things together. But because 50 presented it so perfectly in a Netflix documentary, it must be true.
And then he has some, the home footage, basically.
Right. It must be true.
Yeah, we gotta run with it.
Right. And then, like even the funeral stuff, I know Biggs' estate talked about it. And that's unfortunate because, R.I.P. Miss Wallace, she passed away earlier this year. But you're throwing this out there as if like he cheated the family. For what the estate claims, Puff paid for the funeral. But again,
so what happened with the funeral was eventually the label did pay for it, but at first that money came from Big.
Okay,
that's what that situation was.
So
he did pay for his own funeral, but the money was
was reimbursed to the family.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, like I said, I think that's also careless journalism because the shock value of it is, Big paid for his funeral.
Yeah.
Right now, how would that be any different than, God forbid, somebody passing your family, you pay up front and then the insurance reimburses you with the money later? It's no different, right? Because a lot of people experience that now. You might not get the insurance money in time. So it's like, all right, we got to put up the bread now. And then when the insurance money comes through, it'll cover everything that way. So, But I think overall, the documentary is well packaged. I did see, Misa released a statement in regards to some of the stuff Gene talked about, where Gene mentioned that at one point Puff had asked for a paternity test. I don't think Gene is wrong in saying that, because Gene was right there the whole time. And
say that.
Right. And if we are to believe what's talked about in the documentary, Misa had a boyfriend prior to Puff. Yeah. So maybe Puff had questions about, his son being his son. Maybe.
Those are conversations that the two of them had that she wasn't around.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? You can't say that didn't happen because you're not with, because you weren't, a lot of times you weren't with Puff at the time that Gene was with security. Because remember, that was the early Puff years, right, that he was with Misa. And there was a situation where her and Mary went out to the West Coast and was running around with them and whatnot. And there was that magazine picture that Gene always speaks about, where the caption was, "What the East Coast won't handle, the West Coast will." So yeah, that it would make sense that he might feel a way and might feel like he needs a paternity test.
Yeah, right? and I don't, like I said, I don't think there was anything wrong with that, but the way it was packaged to the media makes it seem as if like, see, this how disrespectful Puff was. Puff was a lot of things. We know that. Yeah. I don't think I'm shocked by really anything in the documentary. I'm not. No, I'm not, because
not after knowing Gene for all these years. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but I'll say this, right? And you have a strong relationship with Gene than I do. So you guys have had way more conversations than I've had with Gene.
Yeah.
But even, right, once we saw the video of him beating Cassie, you had to already think, well, if he beat Cassie, he probably put his hands on his other woman too, right? Yeah. That you're not just going to become a woman beater now. This probably been your behavior all this time.
Your first instance wasn't you chasing her down the whole
right. That was right, exactly. That was not the first. Right.
Like that.
So there's been years of this type of behavior. We had heard the rumors of the freak offs and the wild parties that been discussed for years. So I would ask anybody, what in the documentary was so new to you?
Yeah. And it's not even, listen, Diddy ain't the only person that was having freak offs, okay?
No, right.
There's a story right now on my other channel where Gene talks about the time he was doing bodyguarding for Nate Dogg. And he says, got to the end of the night, we back to the hotel room, it's a group of guys, group of girls, and Nate Dogg just stops everything and he's like, yo, everybody get naked. We whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Or, you could dip out, whatever. And he goes to Gene and he's like, yo, big man, whatever. And Gene's like, nah, can I just get my check, dog? And Gene pays Gene and Gene leaves and they do whatever they do after that. But Diddy ain't the only person that didn't have a freak off.
Yo, I'm so glad you said that, right? Because first of all, that's been part of the rock star lifestyle forever.
Yeah.
There's a scene, and when I was in a barbershop the other day, there's a scene from NWA. Remember when they got multiple hotel rooms with girls and guys running around all over the place?
Yes.
Right? Now in the movie, they're going to clean it up. Everybody's going to be fully clothed and everybody's not partaking in sex. Some people just smoking, some people drinking. But that's the G-rated version of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you ask the people that was there, they'd be like, oh, yeah, 40, 50 people naked in the room.
It was fucking everything. Everybody was fucking.
Everybody was running around. 50 and them did the same thing. Every artist who has attained a certain level of success has done that. So for people to act so shocked, like, oh my God, what are y'all shocked about?
They're not.
And I think what complicates the Puff story, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, but what complicates it is you had a lot of people who chose to stay around, right? It's easy to paint him as the monster now because he's in jail. Mm-hmm. But episode 4 that focuses on like Little Rod said, there was times I woke up in the bed and there'd be a chick there. Sometimes I wake up, he was there. I wake up sore. But you still ain't leave though.
That's weird. You know what?
Have you watched the doc?
I did. I haven't gotten that deep into it.
I'm sorry. So pause.
But I'm just saying.
When you said I haven't got that deep into it,
he got an order for that.
No, but when you said I haven't got that deep into it, pause, and we talk about Little Rod. Let's just pause that right there. All right.
Pause.
But the crazy. I'm like, because when I'm watching it, and he says that, I'm like, all right. So if Puff did take advantage of you, let's say he drugged you and took advantage, you still didn't view that as a moment to be like, all right, I'm out of here, bro.
Yeah.
You still kept working with the man. You still kept putting the album together.
So you woke up, you was in pain in your lower regions.
Where were you sore, bro?
Oh, let me continue to work with this man.
My man said, I'm sore, but
yeah,
let me go to the studio today.
I ain't trying to hear that. Let's go to
Puff had a little pet name for him too. That's crazy.
Hoop Central says, access on my page. Why is these MVP rankings? Why in the MVP rankings do they keep putting Jokic at 1? Well, here's why. Denver's in 3rd place. Jokic is 5th in scoring, 1st in rebounds, 1st in assists. Simple answer.
They got the 4th best. They got the 4th best record, like you said, and he's the best player on that team, averaging a triple-double. Why shouldn't he be?
Yeah.
Like you said, he's 1st in rebounds, 1st in assists, 5th in points. He's averaging just under 30 points a game while averaging a triple-double and shooting 61% from the field. Why shouldn't he be in the rankings?
So there you go.
Like, I don't get that.
Squeezy says Jaylen Brown and Boston Celtics balling out. I will admit I didn't expect this. I almost felt they would tank, but big ups to them. I mean, they champs, so I don't see them tanking. But the team is just really depleted from the team that won the championship. So,
I think maybe too much pride to tank. I mean, Jaylen Brown's an all-star himself.
Yeah.
So I don't think Joe Mazzulla or anybody for that matter was just gonna be like, oh, let's just tank it away. Like, no, it's still too much pride there.
Plus, it's not like it's football where it's like guaranteed if you take you're gonna get the number one.
Right.
You know, I'm still picking the draft.
There's no benefit to tank in the NBA.
Yeah.
And with them, I don't think you ever want to let that mindset creep in. Again, this is a team that's had a lot of deep playoff runs. You don't just turn into a loser just because your guy is out. It's like, no, we're gonna keep trying to show everybody we can play. So I'm not too surprised. I think, to me, I'd be surprised if they're able to maintain this pace throughout the season. Because I think as the year goes on, it will get a little bit more difficult. Again, you're asking Jaylen Brown to do something he's never had to do in his NBA career, and that's carry a team for a full season. So I think he's been good, but I will be interested to see how this plays out once we get into like February, March, and April.
And, I mean, you're asking him to carry a team by himself.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. This is not like Tatum, Porzingis is there.
They don't have a true number 2.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like him, and then there's a drop-off between him and then the next best player, who's probably Derek White.
Like, I don't think it would be much different if Jaylen Brown was the one that was injured and Tatum was playing.
Yeah, I think it would, right. We would have the same type of conversation. Again, it's a major drop-off from your best player to your second best player.
Shout out to Dion Hope's page. He says Kevin Garnett lit into Paul Pierce for saying that Michael Jordan had a limited bag. Paul semi backtracked all, but is a bag more so dribbling. MJ had a bag. He didn't do wasted dribbles, but MJ had a crossover and other moves. MJ would blow by cats and do them crazy reverse shots or dunk on you. Then got a post up fade away and up and under bag. To me, he had a bag, a good bag. I don't remember Jordan using the crossover too much. I remember him doing more spin moves than
it wasn't like a crossover like the way some of these other guys do. It would be a quick one to just get to a spot.
Yeah.
But I think Mike had a great back.
Yeah, it's Paul Pierce. Like, come on, y'all gotta stop taking Paul Pierce serious, man. He be saying these things. He been saying these things.
Shock value.
Remember we just spoke about, was it last week, him going through the list of guys he felt like he was better was scorers than? And it's like, bro,
You can't say Mike had no bag when Mike is probably one of the most efficient scorers the game has ever seen. Mike can score at all three levels. He can get into the paint. He can kill you mid-range. He can shoot three if he needed to. And he can get to any spot on the court. So what was limited about his bag? Mike is scoring, like I said, Mike is scoring you any way he wanted to score on you. What was limited about his bag?
Stop. Y'all gotta stop listening to Paul Pierce, please. Eric, give us a final thought.
Yeah, I mean, we told them that before, but they don't listen to us, man. They don't listen.
Yeah.
Nah, as always, shout out to the supporters. We greatly appreciate you guys rocking with us, man. Stay safe out there this holiday season. Again, make sure you rock with us on Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. We got the picks. We got some more NFL talk. I'm sure we'll have some NBA talk because the cup will be starting by then as well. Mm-hmm. So definitely lock in with us, man.
Yes, sir. Man, listen, it's cold out. It's getting cold outside, especially in these areas, where we at. Y'all just stay safe, stay warm, man, because it's hard out here. All right, nothing but love and respect to all the supporters. Appreciate you guys. And with that being said, make sure you're following us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, @RealFanTalk, YouTube.com/ForTheFansProductions. And of course, if you are not in the New York City area and you can't watch us on Verizon 43, BPN2 on Thursday nights at 8, all you got to do is go to that website, realfansrealtalk.com. Click the red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. Oh, and make sure you guys subscribe to the two best podcasts moving. I think y'all know already, but that's the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast. All right. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.
This is Deion Grant from the New York Giants, Super Bowl champ, and you're watching Real Fans Real Talk.
This is Real Fans Real Talk. Real Fans Real Talk. We as real as you thought. Real